On this accord, B1236 is a climate control code tied to the passenger side air mix control motor feedback circuit. In plain terms, the climate control unit may be commanding air temperature movement on the passenger side, but the feedback signal may not make sense. The customer may notice passenger temperature control that is incorrect, stuck, or inconsistent. Broadly, this can involve the passenger air mix motor, its feedback and sensor circuits, connector issues, or the climate control unit. Start by clearing the DTC with the HDS. Turn the ignition switch to lock 0, then back to on Roman 2, or press the engine start/stop button to select OFF mode, then on mode. Run the self-diagnostic with the HDS or the climate control unit, then check for DTCs. If B1236 or 43 comes back, continue with the circuit checks. If it does not come back, treat it as an intermittent fault and check for loose wires or poor connections in the passenger's air mix control motor circuit. Next, power the vehicle down. Ignition switch in lock 0 or engine start/stop in OFF mode. Disconnect the climate control unit 32P connector and the passenger's air mix control motor 7P connector. Check continuity on the AMDP as/AMDP as line between climate control unit 32P connector no. 11 per and passenger's air mix control motor 7P connector no. 2. BRN. If you have continuity, that wire is okay and you move on. If you do not have continuity, repair the open between the climate control unit and the passenger's air mix control motor. With the same connectors still disconnected and the vehicle still in lock 0 or OFF mode, check the sensor COM/SenseCOM line. Measure continuity between climate control unit 32P connector no. 22 blue and passenger's air mix control motor 7P connector no. 3 red. If there is continuity, that circuit is okay and the next step is the short check. If there is no continuity, repair the open between the climate control unit and the passenger's air mix control motor. Now check whether the S5V/S5V line is shorted to the AMDP as/AMDP as line. With the climate control unit 32P connector still disconnected and the passenger's air mix control motor 7P connector still disconnected, check continuity between climate control unit 32P connector no. 11 per and climate control unit 32P connector no. 24 BLK. If there is continuity, repair the short in the wiring between the climate control unit and the passenger's air mix control motor. If there is no continuity, those two lines are not shorted together, and you move into the motor resistance checks with the ignition still at lock 0 or OFF mode, and both the climate control unit 32P connector and passenger's air mix control motor 7P connector disconnected. Measure resistance inside the passenger's air mix control motor between motor terminal no. 1 and motor terminal no. 3. The expected resistance is 6K omega plus or minus 1. 8K omega. If the reading is 6K omega plus or minus 1, 8K omega, continue to the sweep style resistance check. If it is not 6K omega plus or minus 1, 8K omega, replace the passenger's air mix control motor. For the final circuit check, reconnect the passenger's air mix control motor 7P connector while leaving the climate control unit 32P connector disconnected. Connect battery power and ground to terminals A and B, then reverse the connections. Terminal A is climate control unit 32P connector no. 17 LTGRN. Terminal B is climate control unit 32P connector no. 18 blue. Be careful here. Incorrectly applying power and ground to the motor will damage it. Follow the terminal directions carefully, and when the motor stops running, disconnect battery power immediately. Measure resistance between climate control unit 32P connector no. 11 per and climate control unit 32P connector no. 24 BLK. The resistance should change between about 0.6K omega plus or minus 1. 8K omega. One note, continuity between S5V and AMDP as may disappear when the motor is turned to the stop, and the climate control unit usually does not turn the motor to the stop. If resistance changes between about 0.6 k omega plus or minus 1.8 k omega, replace the climate control unit. If resistance does not change between about 0.6 k omega plus or minus 1.8 k omega, replace the passenger's air mix control motor. Keep verification separate from the component testing. After the repair is made, clear the DTC, cycle the ignition or power mode off and back on, run the self-diagnostic again, and confirm B1236 stays gone. The takeaway is simple. Prove the feedback and sensor common wiring first. Rule out a short on the 5-volt and feedback lines. Then use the motor resistance checks to decide whether the fault is in the passenger air mix motor or the climate control unit. For more diagnostic training, visit Diagnostics.com.